What's going on, everybody? It's Sean, joined again by my son Trey, and today on Reactions to the Classics, we got a special one. We're looking at Fillmore East, the iconic live album by the Allman Brothers, and this is a special one, Trey. We're doing this as a happy 50th birthday to one of our biggest supporters in the community, Kev the Trucker. This one's for you.
Yeah, man, happy birthday. And if this is your first time stopping by the channel, we appreciate it. Here, Reactions to the Classics. We take a look back at some of the most classic albums of all time and do a track-by-track review. We also have live streams, rankings, a bunch of fun stuff. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, and you can also link up with us on Facebook and Patreon down below. But all that to say, let's get into the quick facts for our first live album that we reviewed here.
Well, this one's their third album. It's a double album, but they sold it at the price of a single album, which took some work to get the record company at Capricorn Records to agree to that. It went platinum selling and actually charted up pretty quickly. Their other two offerings barely hit the bottom of the top 200. Rolling Stone ranks it as the second greatest live album ever, behind only James Brown Live at the Apollo. And Rolling Stone also puts this thing at number 49 on their list of 500 greatest albums of all time. As the title indicates, it was recorded at the Fillmore East in New York City, run by the famous Bill Graham. It was recorded over a few nights.
Yeah, and the great Duane Allman noted that they didn't really set out to make a live album per se, but they felt like with their music, it was best captured with the audience and the crowd, and just having the freedom to not go, you know, he said 3 minutes, 14 seconds.
Yeah.
Able to, and he noted that the jams and the audience were a big part of what they did, and they couldn't capture that in the studio, so it kind of just, the stars all aligned. Hey, why don't we just do this live album? And it was recorded over a few nights in March of 1971. They took the best of the best, put it in there. Their drummer noted that this was just a slightly above average performance from them, so I found that interesting.
Yeah, and there wasn't any editing. They wanted to keep it a quote live album, but after they would record, they'd go back to the studio and listen to it back and understand what they needed to do better the next time, or what they were going to keep or what they wouldn't. So just a crazy thing. And yeah, I've never listened to their first two albums, so I have no idea, but I can't imagine them translating in 3 minutes and 14 seconds what they do here, because this is unbelievable. That brings us to the opening track, Statesboro Blue. It's written by Blind Willie McTell, who recorded it in 1928. The title refers to the town of Statesboro, Georgia. In 1968, Taj Mahal recorded a popular blues rock adaptation of the song with a prominent slide guitar by Jesse Ed Davis. And it was that rendition that inspired the Allman Brothers. Duane was given a copy of that by Greg. Duane had never even played the slide guitar. He learns how to play it so he can play this song. Just an amazing story. The lyrics are pretty simple. He's trying to get this woman to come with him. He mentions a Statesboro blues, which is some sort of condition that his whole family has. And what I like is he mentions to her towards the end of the song, if you don't want to come, your sister Lucille has already agreed to. Rolling Stone ranks this as the 9th greatest guitar song of all time.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable when I was reading and seeing that Duane wasn't proficient in the slide guitar before this, because some of the best slide guitar you're going to hear around the 145 mark comes in, and I was automatically hooked in. I'd never heard any Allman Brothers tracks before this, and it was a good warm-up jam, warm-up tune, kind of set the theme of the guitar-centric and jam-like nature for what we're going to get further on in the record. And then we're going to move on to another cover, Done Somebody Wrong, and again, it's a bit of a bluesy track, one of the shorter tracks on here. They kind of start us off getting warmed up into the environment and atmosphere here, and Duane was again rock solid with that nice bass foundation from Oakley, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the drums and guitar from the very jump are just so good. It just boom, busts right out of your headphones. Pretty simple story. He did the woman wrong. It's all his fault. She's leaving. He's not going to get her back. It's blues, guys. We're going to finish out side A with Stormy Monday. This was first written and recorded by T-Bone Walker. He was the first blues guy really to use the electric guitar, and he inspired B.B. King to take it up. So this version is kind of what made this song famous. They changed up the arrangement just a little bit, but What a tremendous track.
Yeah, Greg and Dwayne would perform this all the way back with their first band, the Allman Joys.
I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I love that band name. Here, it's a little different. They showed some musical range because we slowed down the tempo.
We did at first, especially.
Yeah, because we got that organ. It was in there a little bit in the first two tracks, but it really kind of came to the forefront here. And then we have some extended instrumental. We go to another great Dwayne Allman solo, which segues into a nice Greg Allman organ solo.
Yeah, that was so good.
And then we get old Betts here that does another great solo. And I mean, had Dwayne not been in here, the Allman Brothers band would have been nice with Betts just as a solo, guitarist as well. But having two great leads like that is, you can't ask for anything more than that. So up to this point, this is my favorite track, just to see just the musical range.
Man, it is quite the journey. That's why I put in my notes. It's a musical journey. It takes you all over the place. We're going to kick off side 2 with You Don't Love Me. It's over 19 minutes long. First recorded by Willie Cobbs in 1960. It was adapted from Bo Diddley's 1959 song, She's Fine, She's Mine. The Allman Brothers actually had this on their set list when they first started playing, so they knew this song quite well, and what a jam it is.
Oh yeah, about midway through, Dwayne comes in with the slow burning guitar solo. You get those hi-hats in the background before the bass and other instruments are introduced.
And they get everybody clapping right away. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, and just the way that the instruments played off each other, especially Betts and Allman again, interplaying that guitar. It was just an impressive feat, and just like you mentioned, this is first real jam type of track due to the long nature of it. I mean, it takes up the entirety
side too,
of side 2, like you said. So all in all, just top-notch instrumentation that we're going to continue to see through the rest of the record.
And at the very end of this thing, close to the 19-minute mark, we get a little surprise in here. They start playing Joy to the World.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, it had almost a little bit of a gospel flair at the end because of that.
I thought that was so cool. We're going to start off side 3 with a Hot Lanta, which was actually written by the band and debuts on this album, so it's not anything off their first 2 albums. It came out of a melody line that Dickie Betts was working on, and they just kind of got this jam going. Hot Lanta, obviously a nickname for Atlanta, Georgia, if you don't know that.
Yeah, and again, just what stuck out to me was just how well the instruments meshed all together. The drums were the standout instrument on here.
Yeah, I put that as well.
Yeah, especially at the end, you had those little snare rolls that went right into a droning organ. They fit a lot into this succinct little piece here. It wasn't like the previous track, which was 20 minutes long, but they still managed to pack a bunch of different styles and musical curveballs at you.
Yeah, and the whole thing was good, but the ending just builds up to this tremendous thing. Takes us right into our next track. Also instrumental. This one's solely credited to Dickie Betts. In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. This first appeared on their second studio album, Idlewind South. The song is a jazz-influenced instrumental. Betts named the song after a headstone he saw in Rose Hill Cemetery in the band's hometown of Macon, Georgia. It was inspired by a woman that Betts was involved with, who was the girlfriend of Boss Skaggs. So to protect her identity, he just named it after this headstone he saw. And I guess they spent a lot of time in this cemetery. They went to write songs there. They might have went there to do some other things with women that they kind of alluded to in a couple interviews. And it's the final resting place of both Greg and Dwayne Allman.
And this is about 13 minutes long or so. You can get lost in this track at about 10 different points because, again, there's just so much going on.
So diverse.
Instrumentally, yeah, that's a great word for it. Dwayne here's the highlight for me. At different points in the track, he just decides to let loose, and everybody better buckle up when his frenzy of screeching guitar notes comes in. I just thought this was fantastic, and you could talk me into this being my favorite tune.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. When you hear these long instrumentals, it's kind of the same thing repeated over and over. This is the farthest thing from it on this album. You were taken all over the place in every song just to show you the ability and the talent, because not many people, if anyone, could ever have pulled this off. No one that I've heard. That's going to take us to the final side. One song, 22 minutes long, whipping post. And what I like about this song, Trey, is I like the lyrics on this one. There's not a ton of lyrics on any of these songs. The lyrical delivery is fine. It's about the instrumentation, baby. You know, you're putting the instrumentation up front. But the lyrics on this are great because this guy is going in a difficult relationship. This woman is treating him like a whipping post. There's some allusions to slavery because of whipping post. I'm not saying it's the same thing by any means. They went through the same thing. But he's using that as just an extreme example of how this woman is just mistreating him, but he can't really get away from her. It's just tremendous on the lyrical side. And then the instrumental side, oh my goodness. And one other thing I'll say before I let you do your thing, it started out right away with the lyrics, which is different than the other one. So imagine you're sitting there at Fillmore East going, oh, this song is going to have a lot of lyrics. So he busts out the lyrics, and then we just go into instrumentals for days.
Oh, yeah, and I do like, because at the start, and that's one of the nice parts of a live album setting, because he says we're going to do one from our first record, and you hear a guy say, whipping post, and then he's like, you got it, or something like that. You called it. And then they go into the track. This is actually also ranked 393 on Rolling Stone's top 500 songs. Very well thought of, and for good reason. Obviously, being this long a tune, you know, we get the first few verses and then like 16, 17 minutes of just instrumental greatness. And we had, again, a little bit of a gospel musical feel at the start with that organ really going in, and then we switched to almost a prog-like feel. The guitar tones and just effects were top-notch. So I think everything good about this album kind of came forth on this song and was sampled on this track, and it just came to a fitting conclusion for this entire hour 20-minute record on this song. Just brought it all to a climax. So I really dug it, and I guess that'll take us to our favorite tracks.
Yes, for me, it's the last one. It's Whipping Post. I mean, I like several of them. And, you mentioned hour and 20 minute, hour 18 in that neighborhood. It doesn't seem like it. You put on those headphones and you're just lost, man. It is fantastic.
Yeah. I think my favorites would be the final two, the Elizabeth Reed and then Whipping Post, but all of them had certain points that were just like, whether it was the Dwayne guitar solo or the organ solo or the drumming and percussion. I mean, there's so much in there that is interesting, and I guess that'll take us to our overall score of the record.
Yeah, and as you said, it's our first live album. It's a very different kind of album, I think multiple listens you would really, really get into. I think if you're a guitar player, this has got to be like one of the absolute best albums you spin, because it's just unbelievable. Or maybe it's highly intimidating because, oh my goodness,
that's true too.
But for me, it's going to be an 8.75, and that could grow over time. It's something different than what I've ever listened to before, about these kind of long instrumental. It is quite the journey.
I'm going to be in that area. I'm going to give it a 9.0 with the caveat you said of it growing. Sometimes got to judge an album for what it's meant to be. So for a live album, this is meant as a jam. I was just, like I said earlier, really impressed with Dwayne out of everybody. It's crazy too how young he was whenever he was doing this. So they definitely intrigued me to check out their other studio work. But I don't think anything's going to top this record. Kev, I hope you enjoyed this, man. We definitely enjoyed doing.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday, and man, what a tremendous thing to get introduced to.
Yeah. So be sure to hit that big red subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. We upload many times a week in a bunch of different genres. I'm sure there's something for everybody, and until next time, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Happy listening, my friends, and we will see ya.